Hello and welcome to another episode of Words of Wisdom by Kieran Ekeledo. And today's episode is all about the power of focus. So when you're in the boxing ring, it's again critical that you focus. But as a boxer, it's critical that you focus in and outside of the ring because there's different challenges that are faced at each place. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to look at two different areas. We're going to break this down into firstly looking at it from an athlete's perspective. So from a sports perspective, what we use is something called the athlete's pyramid of peak performance. So looking at 5 key areas that you can focus on to start seeing massive improvements in your results in terms of your training and overall output. And then secondly, we're going to look at 5 key attributes towards what you need to focus on in terms to improve your own well-being, and that this applies inside and outside the ring. So just general will apply to all areas of your life. Now, what I want us to do is look at things in terms of as a box, a pyramid. So the first thing, when we look at the foundation of ourselves in the boxing ring, it's looking at the fundamentals. And so what are the fundamentals? Here, this is looking at things like balance, having a solid guard, working on your punches, your attack, your defense, learning how to pivot, some of the fundamentals that you'll need to know and use when you're in the boxing ring. Now, that's where sort of boxing begins. Once you've got the fundamentals and you actually understand the rules of the game, how it works. So for instance, if you're going into a boxing ring, throwing a knee is not acceptable. But you need to know these fundamentals, know the rules in order to play the game. So the first thing we do is we look at the fundamentals. After we have the fundamentals covered, the second thing we look at is more in terms of our conditioning and so sport-specific conditioning. So the training that you'll need to do if you're in a boxing ring will be different to the training you do if you're playing football. So again, as boxing is quite anaerobic in terms of it sort of working without oxygen, you'll be able to need to work in short bursts and train our body up to be able to do that. So that can be through fartlek running, interval training, the list goes on, but really dedicating and working on being able to increase and reduce the output of how we're working when we're working. Following this, another key attribute when we look at the third layer to really get to peak performance is we need to focus on our nutrition. So within boxing, it's weight categories. It's about establishing which weight category you're in and then being able to keep yourself in that weight category. Of course, that can go up or down depending on your age and when you're starting it. And nutrition is going to play a very important part of that. So what we want to do in terms of words of wisdom here is if we're trying to lose weight, it's looking at putting ourselves in a calorie deficit. If we're trying to gain weight, i.e. gain muscle mass, potentially you might be in a surplus for a short period of time before you start cutting again. For those who are professional boxers, you often might do sort of water, like hydration clauses to be able to sort of water to be able to get yourself to the optimal weight if you're weighing in the day before. But if you're more amateur boxing, it's about staying as lean, strong and fast as possible as you'll be weighing in on the day. Now, once we've got our fundamentals covered in boxing, our conditioning is right and nutrition's in place, 90% of the job's done, but there's still some key areas that we do need to look at. Fourth area is mobility. So mobility is really understanding how to optimize your body's performance, so how to make sure that you're able to keep your range of motion through all different planes and ensuring that you're staying sort of mobile, flexible for when you're boxing, when you're running, when you're training. This can be done via stretching, so looking at dynamic stretching as well as static stretching, and there's also something called developmental stretching, so to improve our range of motion if you find you're tight in a certain area. You've got your fundamentals covered, you focused on your conditioning, you've got your nutrition and mobilities in place. What's that fifth step? That fifth part is looking at your recovery, and this particular plays a larger part as you get older and mature as a boxer and athlete. When you're young, you often might be able to train 2-3 times a day and not really have to focus too much on recovery. But as you get older, as you get towards your late 20s to 30s, maybe even 40s, your recovery and rehab is going to play a more important part to ensure that you're able to train for your next session. And it's important not to neglect these areas and to ensure that you're doing what is necessary to ensure that your recovery is being met. So there we have it, 5 different areas that you're able to focus on in your boxing to be able to improve your results and reach peak performance. Those are your fundamentals. What fundamentals can you improve? Whether that's your jab, is that your cross, is that your head movement, your footwork. Look at which area you'd like to focus on and have to develop. Conditioning wise, so which type of conditioning do you need to improve on? Is this looking at improving your power, improving your endurance? Is this your speed? Which area of conditioning needs the most work? Nutrition, how are we fueling our body to ideally reach our optimal goals? Mobility, how we're ensuring that our range of motion is staying constant and improving rather than being tight and stiff where we're not able to really optimize our strength and abilities. And then last but not least, recovery. What techniques and strategies are we doing to ensure that recovering in between sessions to really ensure that we're able to push ourselves to our levels and our maximums for each session required whilst remaining injury free? So there's the fundamentals of what we need in the boxing ring, which is really going to help you to have some focus on what you need to work on, which area you'd like to do. Of course, to an extent, you cover them all, but which area the power of focus is where you really start to see improvements as you're able to really knuckle down in one space. Next, we have is really looking into ourselves. So taking it outside the ring, if we're looking really to see which areas of life can you focus on to really ensure that you have the right mindset and you're able to approach all challenges in life, then these 5 areas are ones to look at. First thing we need to examine is our self-belief. Self-belief is the seed of achievement. The first thing you need to do is believe in yourself that you are able to achieve whichever goal you set out in place, or believe that whatever obstacle or hurdle you're currently facing, that you will be able to overcome it with time. Second is attitude, and this ties very closely into self-belief. What attitude do you have? Are you attacking life with a positive mental attitude? So this is when you've got the right character traits towards in life, which is looking at hope, faith, and integrity. So do you have the right attitude towards the tasks at hand and what you need to achieve? Thirdly, we're looking at is discipline. Are you able to stay the course in terms of doing what needs to be done in order to achieve the goals which have been set? Discipline is going to play a major part in ensuring that you're able to achieve your goals long term and that you're doing the things that need to be done in order to stay on the path. So discipline will be needed inside the ring for boxing, ensuring you're doing your training, but also outside the ring when you're approaching life and dealing with different challenges or struggles that life throws at you. Fourth, hard work. As they say, the only place success comes before hard work is in the only place hard work comes before success is in the dictionary, and you really need to ensure that you are working hard. So when you do this, making sure that you are working hard and making sure that you are putting in the effort that's required in order to achieve whichever goal that might be set there. And then finally, we're looking at attention to detail. Are you able to sort of look over and analyze your performances, analyze your situation to see what you could do better and how you can improve? Once you really get to hone in and understand the attention to detail and how you're able to use that to increase your ability and your performance in all walks of life, you'll start to apply it more regularly. So those are the 5 things I really want you to encourage you to employ and apply to your lives outside the ring as well as inside the ring. That's self-belief, starting with that, having the right attitude, ensuring that's in place, making sure you're disciplined in your approach towards what you're doing, putting in the hard work, and there's the saying, the only place success comes before work is in the dictionary. So hard work, I know H comes before S, I got that. And then 5th is attention to detail. Once you've got those 5 things in place, this is going to enable you to be winning inside and outside the ring. So let's make sure we apply these lessons in line, and also put a comment below. Let me know which area you feel that you'd like to focus on most. Which areas do you feel, if you were to focus on over the next 8 to 12 weeks, will be able to have the most impact in your life and your day-to-day situation? I hope this message has been something that's been able to serve you and encouraging you towards your goals and what you're looking to achieve, and look forward to helping you in the future. Stay blessed.